Hello, good evening, everyone. Very warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, wherever you are. Really delighted to be here with you this evening to talk about the drawing year. My name's Fraser Scarf. I'm the head of the drawing year program here at the Royal Drawing School, and I was also a student on the course myself about 10 years ago. And I'm joined tonight by Tez Camone, who was on the drawing year, what, 4 years ago, Tez, was it?
Yeah.
Uh, so a relatively recent graduate, and a little later, Tez is going to talk about what it's like to be a student on the program. So thanks very much for joining us tonight. We're going to try and talk a little bit about what the drawing year is, explain the overall structure of the course and how it works, and give you a bit of an idea about what it's like to study at the school. When we come to the end of the presentation, we'll have some time for some questions. So if you do have any burning questions while we're going through the information this evening, then please do feel free to ask us at the end of the presentation part of the evening. And you can do that either by typing something into the chat box or the Q&A box. We'll do our best to get through as many as we can before the session ends. What I should say before we start is that all of the information that we're going to give you this evening is also available on our website. So if you miss anything tonight or you don't quite catch it, then please go to our website, royaldrawing.school.org, and have a look there, because it's all there under the drawing year pages. Additionally, if you want to see the school in person, we've got a couple of in-person open days coming up. So again, please check the website for more information about those. So I'm just going to share my screen with you all. The first part of tonight is going to be a presentation where we just talk through the structure of the year a little bit. That's going to take about half an hour, 40 minutes, and then we'll have some time at the end for questions, as I said. And I'd like to begin just by giving some context and information about the school and how it came to be, before talking about the drawing year and what makes it so unique. So the Royal Drawing School was founded in the year 2000. So it's a big year for us because we're going to be celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. And the school was founded by our artistic director, Catherine Goodman, at a time when a lot of major art schools and institutions around the UK were starting to close their life rooms, and drawing was starting to disappear slightly from the curriculum at a lot of institutions. And Catherine felt there was a real danger that the skill of learning to draw might be lost unless someone did something. So she founded the school at that time in order to allow drawing to continue to evolve and to develop, particularly in contemporary art practice, and also to be a space where you could come and get skills-based teaching and fully explore what it means to draw as an activity. And since the school was founded, it's grown from being, a small band of artists working together in one studio to a place where we now welcome over 3,000 students a year who come and draw with us through our public courses, our courses around London and the UK, our online program, and through our young artist courses, which teach young people between the ages of 10 and 18 how to draw. But the drawing year has always been at the very core of what the school is. And the drawing year is our postgraduate level course and has been running since the inception of the school in one form or another. And it's that course, the drawing year, that we're going to talk to you about tonight. And to focus broadly on what the drawing year is, it's a 1 year taught postgraduate level course. And the focus, as most of the focus here at the school is upon drawing from observation, that physical act of looking at something in the world firsthand and responding to it through drawing, whatever that means to you. And that's very much what we're about here at the school. The course is and has always been entirely free. So we're quite unique in that respect. There are very few postgraduate level courses that offer fully funded education, and we're one of, I think, about three arts courses in the UK that exist in this model. So there are no tuition fees to pay on the drawing year programme at all for any student on the course. Everything's funded, and students are also provided with a free studio space for the duration of the course as well. So the drawing year is quite a unique proposition. You know, we're a small community, we're very focused, we're very dedicated, and as I said, we're one of the very few places that does offer an offering like this. And we're quite different from how many arts institutions model their education. So we are a drawing school. And I think the thing to say is that the model that we run is much more like a school model than perhaps you've been used to if you're currently on a BA or an MA level course. And what does that mean? It means that you physically attend the school most days of the week. You attend taught in-person courses and classes between 3.5 and 5 days a week. And it means that you are in a very small, close-knit community atmosphere here at the school. And that tutor time, that face time, I think is something that really sets us apart. You are going to get a lot of engagement. You're going to be in a room with your tutors every day. And that, again, I think is something very unique to this program. And from a range of courses that we offer, you curate your own program of study. So each term you elect a series of courses that you want to take, and you attend in person. You take those courses, you interact with your cohort and tutors, and you draw every day, which is extremely exhausting. But you know, a bit like anything, with practice comes development, and by drawing every day, it's incredible what does happen to your practice and how it moves on and how it advances. So our curriculum is divided broadly into the following categories. So we have drawing in the studio. So our base, our home is in East London. Our main studios are on Charlotte Road in Shoreditch, a fantastic, vibrant, exciting part of London to study in. And from our studios there, of which there are 4, we run a range of different drawing classes that primarily work from models in a studio, but within those confines, really try to explore what it means to be in a studio environment working from a model. So that may well be what you might recognize as a standard life drawing class. But within that, there is so much to explore. You can draw from imagery and poetry. You can draw clothed models and unclothed models. You can work with dancers and theatre practitioners and poets and performers. So we want to really push at the seams of what drawing in a studio is. We then have drawing from art, that important connection to what's gone before, what's being made now. And drawing from art features heavily in the courses that we offer. And that might mean that you find yourself in the British Museum or the National Gallery, standing in front of a painting or a drawing and responding to it directly and having a dialogue through that process of drawing from art. Drawing London. London is an incredibly diverse, ever-changing city in a state of flux. And drawing from it is a fantastic way to connect with different communities, to understand the history and geography of the city, especially if you've never lived there before, and to respond to life happening around you in a very unique way. And then drawing in the imagination, the imaginative aspect of drawing is very important, and it would be fair to say it factors into all drawing. But certain courses are designed to really exploit that. That might be working on a course where you explore graphic novels. You might work from poetry or music. in an imaginative way. So imagination really flows through everything that we do at the school. And all in all, there are over 100 different courses that run throughout the year that both our drawing year students and members of the public can attend and sign up for. And that means we've got this incredible creative community of people drawing together. So our drawing year students and our public students mixing and merging and exchanging ideas in a really fluid way, which makes for a really strong atmosphere in the school. And then printmaking, which is a kind of natural extension of drawing, really. We have a printmaking facility in the basement at the school where you can take part in intaglio printmaking and you can monotype. Often students will take plates from the print room into their classes and draw directly on them or take them out and about around London. So printmaking is an important aspect of the drawing process for us. The core program is a day a week when our drawing year students work together as a cohort. And these days range and vary in terms of subject and theme and approach, and they're often taught by either our senior faculty or visiting tutors, artists who will come in and teach with the school for a day in order to push the students and force them to engage with drawing in new and different ways. And we have a really exciting range of topics that are explored over these Wednesday sessions in the year group. As I said at the start, part of the offer of the drawing year is that you also get your own private studio space. These studios are at Space Studios in Hackney. Space are one of the largest studio providers in London. And as a member of the drawing year, you get a studio space for one full year. So from for the next cohort from January to December 2026, you have 24-hour access to those studios, and they're a place where you can take everything that you're experiencing in the courses and the classes and unpack that and allow that intense engagement with drawing to then filter into your wider practice, whatever that may be, whether you're a painter or an illustrator or an animator or a musician, whatever it is that you do, this is your space to unpack and to make your own work, your practice, whatever that is. So the studios are a really important part of the offering. Contextual studies, very important, and they flow through the year in many varied ways. Now, we're quite unusual in that we don't have a written component to the course. You don't have to write a thesis. You don't have to come up with a dissertation. You don't even have to write a really fancy artistic statement if you don't want to. We're a very visual-based community, and we really believe that the evidence of your practice is in the output and what you create. That being said, contextual studies do feed in heavily, and they come in the form of peer-to-peer crits and discussions, either with your cohort or with tutors. They come in the form of student verbal presentations, and they come through engagement with the wider contemporary artistic community. And that might be visiting talks or lectures, or it might be visits to exhibitions, collections, and galleries outside of normal working hours. Our lecture series is an important way for our students to engage with the wider creative community. And we've been very fortunate to host and speak with an incredible range of practitioners over the years. And you only just have to look at this list of names here to sort of get a grasp of the caliber of people that are able to come to the school and talk to our students. And last week we welcomed Cornelia Parker to the school, and she gave a brilliant in-person conversation about her work and her practice and how it links with drawing. So the conversations and lectures are an important aspect of the year. Our faculty Our faculty outnumber our drawing year students 3 to 1. So if you're worried about contact time, don't be. We've got a huge range of faculty members, all of whom are practicing artists themselves. So none of our tutors work directly on the administration of this course. That means that they're not tied up by form filling, box ticking, bureaucracy. They don't have to do anything behind the scenes. They turn up and they teach, and then they go back to their studio and their practice. And that means that they're really invested in you as students and what you're doing. And as I said, you are taught day in, day out by tutors who are there 10 till 5, 6 till 9. So you're always in a space with a tutor, and therefore you're getting lots of feedback. You also have tutorials with members of faculty. So they're one-on-one sessions where you sit down with a tutor in your studio and you review your practice, you review the work that you're making. And they're a great sounding board and a steering and guiding arm through the course of your studies on the drawing year. We also invite visiting tutors and tutorials as well. So we've had Daniel Cruz Chubb in the past year, Chantal Joff, lots of amazing people who come in and do tutorials with drawing year students. So to talk a little bit about the funding model for the drawing year. So as I said at the start, we're quite unique and we are really committed to offering an alternative to postgraduate education by not charging tuition fees. You know, we really believe that that is very important to make the course as accessible as it can be to everyone who wants to come and draw with us. The course is also structured to allow you to work part-time, either in the evenings or the weekends. And, you know, a good many of our students do have to do that. And of course, while there are no tuition fees to pay, London is a very expensive city, and the cost of living is high. So we have to bear that into account. But the course is fully funded. The studio space is free. You also benefit from free trips, free entry to things like the RA exhibitions, a National Art Fund pass, discounts on art materials, and so on and so forth. Additionally, we have a range of bursaries and grants that you can apply for. And the main one, which is a generous grant of up to £3,000, can be awarded before you start the course. So we have a means tested grant called the London Living Grant, and that's available for everyone to apply to. And we're able to offer that to usually about half of the cohort before they begin. And that grant is designed to help you get set up before starting the course, especially if you're moving to London to study, which can be really expensive. So that's a one-off, non-repayable grant of £3,000 to get you started. Each term, we then have means-tested bursaries that you can apply for of up to £1,000. So every term you're invited to apply for a bursary, and we try and help those most in need. Additionally, if you find yourself really struggling, we have a hardship fund, which is available to students who really need it. International applicants, we welcome applications from everyone. As a non-accredited course, what we're not able to do is sponsor student visas in the same way that you know, most big education providers can. So if you are an international or EU student wishing to apply to the drawing year, you do need to have one of the following, which is a UK passport or a sort of existing settled or pre-settled status or visa that allows you to live and study in the UK. If you're currently studying and are wishing to stay in the UK, you can apply to something called the graduate visa or the graduate route, which enables you to stay in the UK for a further 2 years after your BA or MA course ends. And some of our students have successfully applied to that and gone through that route, which enables them to stay on in the UK and study at an institution like ours. And then how to apply. So if you are interested in applying, you will need to go to our website, and we have an online application form, which forms the basis of the application. So on that form, the main thing that you need to do is upload 10 drawings. And a drawing we class as a work done in dry media, ink, or watercolor, which can be a little confusing. And obviously there are gray areas around what you might describe as a drawing. Another helpful way of thinking about it might be a work made on paper. And then to supplement your drawings, you also need to upload 10 additional works. And those additional works can be any media that you like. So that might be painting, it might be illustration. You can upload multimedia work, you can upload videos in that section of the application. And additionally, we also ask you to submit 2 sketchbooks to support your application. And that's quite important. And we really value the sketchbook because aside from just seeing finished work, what a sketchbook does is it kind of tells us how you think through drawing and what your process of approaching drawing from life is. So we ask you to deliver 2 sketchbooks, either in person or via post, to arrive on the dates below. So the application this year is the 2nd of April, and you apply online. So if you're shortlisted, we let you know usually in early May, and then interviews take place in May. And we offer places based on the quality of the work in the portfolio and the interview. And then you're just going to see now a few images of work made by our alumni. So the first image you saw there was by Christina Comesi, who's currently got a solo show at the South London Gallery. And a number of our alumni are now represented by major galleries, including Hauser and Wirth, White Cube, Thomas Dane, and many great institutions. But hopefully what you'll see as we roll through these images is that we don't really have a house style or one particular way of drawing. The language used by our students is very varied. The backgrounds and disciplines that our students are coming from are also very varied. And I think that shows in the work and the output of the work made by our students. And I'm now going to hand over to Tez, who's going to talk a little bit about her time on the drawing year and what it was like to actually be a student on the course. So yeah, over to you, Tez.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Tez. As Fraser mentioned, it's been like 4 or 5 years now, 2019, 2020. I was part of the drawing year. We also refer to it as the COVID year sometimes. And yeah, I'll just talk a bit about my experience as a student, show you how my work developed during that year. And I think it's nice you can ask me some questions maybe about the interview process or anything else you can think of that might be of interest. Now I'm here. So my background, I'm from the Netherlands. I moved to London 11 years ago to do my master's, my MA Fine Art. And before that, I studied painting. So I was living in London, I was working part-time in food, hospitality, and I had a studio. So I was outside of education for 6 years until I applied to the drawing year. Reason why, I was drawing every day, and I had my studio practice, and I was doing graffiti, murals, etc., etc. And I thought it was time to take my drawing more serious. Hence I applied and luckily got accepted. This is a key drawing for me. It was one of the first drawings I made during the drawing year that really something clicked. It was in the first term. The tutor was Thomas Newbold, and it was a live drawing class. And the tutor, Thomas Newbold, said, you know, everyone is so focused on the model, but you need to think about the context of space. Where is the model standing? And that was something really, really special to me, because that's how my interest in space and memory got triggered. So he basically sent the model away, and we only drew from our memory that whole class. And this is the drawing that I did that class. And the first drawing where I thought, okay, I'm onto something new. I'm reconsidering my practice. Felt really, really exciting. We can move on to the next image, Fraser. So slowly, that started to develop more, and I started to learn loads of new materials within my drawing practice. Found soft pastels as a new medium, and working from memory, and creating all these images. As Fraser was mentioning, like, you draw every day and you go through so much work. So the development is almost too speedy to even understand what you're doing at the moment, right? Yeah, and I think around mid drawing year, I started to make these quick, colorful pastel drawings that ended up really, yeah, being a guide for me until graduation. We can move on to the next slide if you want. Oh, can you move on? Yeah, thank you. So, resulting in this piece that I did around graduation, I started working on really, really big sheets of paper, I was going to say, but rather they are rolls. And continuing my journey with pastels and the theme of memory and the everyday. So I think it's quite nice to show you from the beginning till this third image how my practice developed in that speedy year. So after being on the drawing year, I continued exploring my practice more. I started painting as well, and I'm still drawing with pastels until this day. After the drawing year, I became friends. Of course, that's what happens as well. You're such a close, tight group of people nerding over drawing all day long. So you get a really great relationship, I think, with your peers. And I started sharing a studio with one of my drawing year mates. These are the last drawings I did in 2024, as I left my student flat share that I was living in during the drawing year. I created this series of drawings about the flat share. Yeah, I think Fraser was also mentioning that people work outside, and I was one of those people as well. I felt really supported through the bursary that I also applied for. But what was my life looking like? I was at the drawing school 4 days a week, and I was working about maybe 20 hours alongside as well. So you can imagine how busy it is. So definitely good advice to really think about how you're practically gonna run your year, I think, before thinking of applying. One of the highlights, I think, for me was I had a solo show after graduating from the drawing year. And I think overall, I've grown as an artist, and also really had time and space to professionalize myself. Is that the right word? Yeah. So to really develop all those skills and build a network in London, etc., to really be able to work as a professional artist from the moment of graduating, which I'm still very happy and lucky with, I think. Something I think the next slide is going to be possibly about teaching, might be, because parts of what you're being offered in the drawing year, teaching opportunities, is being trained to become a tutor for the young artist. The school runs a Saturday program for young artists aged 10 till 18, and whilst you're studying at the drawing year, you have the opportunity to apply to a traineeship to teach on that Saturday program, which I've also luckily did. And I've been teaching on the Young Artist program since 2021 as well. I loved it so much that I've actually started to get my real teaching qualification on the side as well. So that's something that the drawing year unlocked for me as well, which is really amazing. I can talk to you a tiny bit about the exhibitions as well. I think that was the slide before. Yeah. So I just showed you that big drawing that was around my graduating time. There's a few exhibitions, so obviously you'll have enough work to show over all these different spaces. With your drawing year group, you will run an open studios, which will be everything you do in the studio that might not actually make it to the other exhibitions, which are mainly focused on drawing. Let's say you're a sculptor or whatever medium you work in, the open studios will be the time and space to show that work. We have the end of year exhibition, which I would say is the main exhibition at the drawing school itself. I think you're allowed between 6 to 10 pieces, maybe. So that's actually, you know, quite little compared to all the work you make. And then you're also part of the exhibition in Christie's, if that's still the same, Fraser, actually.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
we've been very lucky over the past 10 years to be able to offer our graduating students a show at Christie's in central London, which is a fantastic opportunity to not only show in a prestigious venue, but also to make kind of real world connections with gallerists and people who work in the West End of London. And Christie's also kindly sponsor a very generous £15,000 award, which is awarded to one graduating student and gives them the chance to work for a year in a residency format and then to have a solo exhibition at the end of the year. And our last recipient, Louis Pole, has a show opening at Christie's next week, which is all about this year that he's just spent drawing, with the kind of support given from that money. So yeah, some great opportunities. And maybe we'll just move on to just a few final elements of the course that we've not discussed. So one is the professional development program, which comes in the final term. You know, we really believe in the importance of equipping our students with the best skills possible to go on and get ahead when they actually leave, because for many students, the drawing year is the last time they're in any kind of formal education before they go out and work in creative fields. So we have a range of industry experts come in and talk to the students on things like arts law, self-employment, copyright, intellectual property, branding and website building and those kind of things. So an important element of that kind of final stage of the year, we feel. And then one very important part of the drawing year is what happens when you leave. And I think that is the fact that we have a very, very strong alumni network. That's partly due to really only having a very small alumni pool. There are only 30 students on every drawing year. And there are a range of fantastic opportunities for our drawing year students when they graduate. Tez talked about the teaching and the tutor training. We also have a full suite of different residencies that are solely open to alumni of the drawing year program. And you can see the list here, which is just a few really, but the chance really to go and work in some amazing and unique locations around the world and to have that important time for your practice, you know, which everyone's so busy and might be working when they graduate. So having the space and the time to go and develop your practice at a residency is really valuable. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. I'm just going to leave this slide up for a little longer so you can make notes if you need to. But again, it's all on the website. And then finally, before we take some questions, I'm just going to share with you some video footage, which will give you a sense of the facilities, the studios here at school. I know many of you watching will have maybe been to the school before and studied with us and taken courses, but for some of you, this might be your first engagement with us as an institution. So our main site in Charlotte Road in Shoreditch is a fantastic place to be based because we're right in the heart of a very creative and creativity-led part of London, close to some very good art shops and some very good galleries. And we have 4 drawing studios and a print room in the building. And our student studios are about 15 minutes away from the main school building. So here in the footage I'm about to play, you can see some of our classes in session. So this is one of our ground floor drawing studios with a model and students working. And then our top floor studios are a fantastic place to draw. The building on Charlotte Road is a former Victorian warehouse, and it's got a fantastic atmosphere about it. High ceilings, beautiful light, great sort of wooden floors spattered with ink and charcoal from many years of study. And this is our basement print room, which is small but perfectly formed, and this is where our printmaking courses take place. And here you can see our drawing year studios in Hackney. So as I said, Space Studio on Mare Street in Hackney, a fantastic large site that houses not only our drawing year students, but also students who come and learn with us on exchange. And as a student, you're given your own dedicated space within the studio. These are pretty large spaces by kind of London Art School standards, room for you to develop your work, whatever that may be, to take your drawings and store them, and to think about what all this drawing practice means and how it's being reflected in your own work. And you can see a student having a tutorial here. So the studios are an important part of your practice, a chance to develop and further whatever it is that you do. And then in a moment, we'll shoot back over to Charlotte Road and we'll see some footage of one of our end of year exhibitions. So as Tez mentioned, at the end of your time as a student, we put on a large selling exhibition in the main building at the school, where we take over the entire ground floor space, a space that is a hybrid space and switches between being drawing studios and an exhibition space. And it's here that, as a student, you will have a selection of works displayed. We have a private view and we invite buyers and guests of the school, friends and families to come along and celebrate your time and journey as a student. And it's a nice bookend to the year, really. It's a real celebration of drawing and everything that drawing can be. So we'll stop there. Really hope that's been helpful in explaining what the course is, demystifying it slightly, if you have had questions. And we will now have time for some questions. So if you want to put those in the chat box or the Q&A, and we'll try and get through as many as we can. So I'm just going to quickly go and have a look at some of these now. So again, sorry if we don't get through them all, but I will, I'll do my best. Oh, there's one for you, Tez. Did you think you were good enough when you applied? Did
I
you have
love
imposter
the,
syndrome?
yeah, I love the question. Did you have imposter syndrome? Lovely question. Yeah, no, I don't think I was good enough at all. No, I was just like working in sketchbooks and loving drawing and having a real. It wasn't really about good enough. Maybe I'm not. Yeah. I mean, I obviously really wanted, to get in, and I did my best to show as much as I could. I took that quite literal. Actually, I showed maybe a bit too much, but difficult question. no imposter syndrome, but yeah, I guess it's always nerve-wracking to just apply for something. But yeah, I think if you're invested in drawing, then that's all you need to do to bring your sketchbooks and your love for drawing.
Yeah, good answer, I think. So I think what I'll do is talk a little bit about sketchbooks and what constitutes a sketchbook, because we always get lots of questions about that.
Yeah.
And the um, the submission of drawings and images. So I'll just recap a few things for the application process around submitting drawings. I think the thing to do is we don't have hard and fast rules about what a drawing is. So I think it's for you as the artist applying to determine what drawing means within the context of your practice. That might mean it's a sort of finished drawing. It might mean works in progress. It might be digital work. It might be drawing on a sort of non-paper surface. So I think you have to make that distinction in your practice, and submit what you believe to be drawings in the context of your own works. Um, Primarily, we're looking to see recent work. I think we need to kind of get a sense of where you are now and what you're making now and what you're interested in now. So it's fine to include examples of things that you maybe did a few years ago, but we primarily want to get a sense of the person applying now, where you are in your creative journey and what you're making at the moment. So I think that's an important point to say. And then just to cover, while we're sort of on the topic of applications, um, to cover sketchbooks and what we sort of see as a sketchbook. The reason we ask for sketchbooks is twofold, really. Firstly, it's nice in a selection process that is primarily digital to hold something physical and see drawings on a page. We're a physical school. We make drawings every day on paper, here in person. So seeing something physical, I think, is really important, and it helps to enrich what is otherwise a digital application process. Secondly, a sketchbook is a really good sort of indication of how you think through drawing, how you respond to things through drawing. And that doesn't mean that we're looking for a sketchbook that's completely full. It doesn't mean we're looking for highly rendered, finished drawings in your sketchbooks. We just want to sort of see a genuine sense of how you respond to things through drawing, and what you're engaged with. So there might be notes in your sketchbook, there might be recipes or shopping lists. It might not all be drawing. That's fine. It's not a problem. But yeah, something that shows as your sort of creative thought process. I think the sketchbook is a good place for that to happen. The sketchbooks need to be A3 or under. We can take loose sheets as long as they're bound together in some form that allows us to safely look through them without things dropping out. What we can't accept is kind of portfolios with finished drawings in sleeves and things like that. That's not really the purpose of asking for a sketchbook. We're looking to see a kind of physical, living document rather than a presentation folio. Um, just a few questions about kind of who we're looking for, like age limits. What I think one of the things to say is that as a non-accredited institution, we are completely free to take whomever we like on this course. So there is no upper age limit. You need to be over 18, but we've had an 80-year-old on the course in the last 5 years. So there is no upper age limit. That being said, the majority of our students are probably in their sort of mid-20s to mid-30s and are sort of relatively recent graduates of art school or other creative courses. But again, you don't need to have done a university course to apply. I didn't go to university, and applied and was given a place. So Because we're not accredited, we don't have any criteria that you must have met in order to be accepted onto onto the course. So what we're looking for are people that are dedicated, that might not be the finished article, but people for whom drawing is clearly very important to them, and is something that they want to explore further in their practice. So you don't need to be the finished article, but you do need to demonstrate that drawing is really important to you and will help you to grow as an artist. And you also need to be sort of hungry and determined and prepared for what is a very intense learning experience. It's a full-time course. You're going to be worked very hard, and you're going to have to work very hard. You're going to have to navigate all of that as well as living in one of the kind of busiest, most expensive cities in the world. So you need to be in a position, I think, in your life where you're able to really commit, and accept that this is going to be a very intense year, but we hope a very rewarding one. So hopefully that answered a few of those questions.
I was just going to add that also not everyone has an art background. In my drawing year, there are a few people who, they came from history degrees or language degrees or name it. So it's not everyone is an artist or an illustrator or something like that, but have a dedication to drawing, right? Also, someone is asking, is it definitely not like about working alongside? And it is possible to work alongside. I did it. A lot of people will do it. Yeah, if you don't have a choice, obviously, you're going to have to work. It's just, yeah, it's going to be busy. And yeah, on top of a heavy learning experience and being in the studio and being at the school a lot, you'll work weekends or evenings. It's absolutely possible. It's just, yeah, there won't be much time left to enjoy a
Yeah.
walk in the park.
Yeah, it's scary though how fast the year goes. It does really fly by when you get started. So, although it is very intense, what I would say is that the terms are 10-week terms. So although the terms are very intense, you get big breaks between terms. So the Christmas break is like 6 weeks, the Easter break is 5 weeks. You get nearly 2 months off over the summer. So that's a chance to not only kind of reset in between the intensity of the terms, it's also a chance to earn money or to be with family or go wherever you need to go in the world. So intense blocks of term time, but then some breathing space around those terms. A couple of questions again about the application process. If you are an international student or you're not able to physically come and drop sketchbooks off, you can either post them, or if you really can't do that, we do accept digital submissions for sketchbooks in their place. We do also ask that if you're invited to interview, that you are able to bring the majority of the works that you've included in your application to the interview. I think it's very important for us to see those physical works. Often something looks completely different on a screen than in person. So we need to see the physical works by and large. The hours of courses, daytime courses 10 till 5, evening courses 6:30 till 9.
And you're supposed to do 3.5 days minimum. So whether they are, so 3.5, saying half is in the evening and 3 during the day.
Yeah. And outside of that, you also need to factor in time to be in your studio, and things like that. Your personal statement, someone asking about we do ask for a short statement as part of the application process. This is really nothing more than to just tell us why you want to do the year, where you're at in your life now and why now is the right time for you to come on the drawing year. It doesn't need to be a really kind of waffly artist statement, about your practice. Your images will speak for themselves, hopefully. So the statement is you telling us in as sort of plain a way as possible who you are and why you want to do the course. It doesn't need to be a sort of thesis on your practice. We just want to know who you are and why you want to do the course, really.
I think I literally maybe said like 4 sentences about, like my background in murals, etc., and like, yeah, wanting to reassess my drawings, my practice, blah blah blah. So yeah, I think it was quite straightforward as well.
Hmm. Um, few more, few more sketchbook questions. Yeah, they can include. Someone asked if they can include drawing from art. Yes, please. That's great. Um, Do they have to be from direct observation only? No, they don't have to be from direct observation only. Although coming onto a course where you are drawing from observation every day, I think it's important to evidence at least some engagement with working directly from life, because that's what you'll be doing for a year on the course. And someone asked about quantity in the sketchbooks. We'd much rather see a real sketchbook that's got 10 drawings in it than and a load of other stuff and scribbles than a sketchbook that's been sort of made to order, that you've sort of made for the application the week before. So, we can tell. So I think, just be honest about what you use a sketchbook for. Okay. I think that's getting through nearly all of the questions now. But yeah, you'll no doubt have more. But as I said, everything we've talked about this evening is available online as well. We've got some more open days coming up. We're planning a sort of live Q&A session on Instagram as well. So do reach out if you've got more questions. I think one of the other things to do is to look at the work that our students make, and that will give you a sense of kind of who we are and what our students go on to do. And as Tez said, what we really value is building a cohort of people from a diverse range of backgrounds, because it makes the year richer for everyone. We don't just want 30 fine artists or 30 illustrators. So we're building a community of people for whom drawing is really important, but drawing will mean very different things to those different people depending upon where they're coming from. We've had computer games designers and animators and people who've not done any creative courses before. So it's important for us to really build a cohort that is different and varied, and it makes it a stronger course. So with that, we'll bring tonight to a close. Thanks very much, Tez, for sharing your experience, and thanks to everyone who's logged in tonight. Really great crowd and some really great questions. Please don't forget the application deadline, the 2nd of April. 70% of people apply within 24 hours of that deadline, which can make things a little bit hectic on both ends. So please try and put some time into your application and think about what you might want to include. And if you do have more questions or you want any more information, then please go to our website or email the Drawing Year team. But for now, thanks very much for watching. We really hope that we'll see some of you in person at some point, either at another open day or when you're coming for your interview for the Drawing Year. So yeah, thanks very much, everyone, and good night.
Thank you. Good night.